In the future, global warming provoked the rapid melting of glaciers, which led to an increase in the level of the world's oceans. Those who were able to survive adapted to the new reality. The walls around the city hold back the water. But even this only delays the inevitable. Nicholas, a former veteran, became a private detective. He uses a special substance container, which was originally developed for interrogations. And since now the future does not inspire hope, people wanted to see the past. Watts turns on the device, creating a hologram of Hank's thoughts when he could walk his dog. I'm still playing. Hank is ready to give all his money for these moments. Nick can't take any money from him, for which Hank is very grateful. But Watts hints that if Nick continues to talk, they will have to cover up at the expense of the institution. Nick doesn't see this as a problem. There will always be a demand for the past. There is one downside to this. If you abuse the old, it will consume you. After finishing work, Nick is going to go home. But May enters his establishment. She says she lost her keys on the way and wants to know where they are. Watts asks to call the master, but Nick is ready to help her. You need to understand that memory does not store what she did not notice. May still stands her ground. When May is immersed in the program, she should clearly follow Nick's voice. He starts by lifting it. Before leaving the house, May took the keys. In the next memory, the keys were still with her. And already in the dressing room, while she was looking for her lucky earrings, the key fell under the table. In fact, they found out what May wanted. But Nick wants to see what happens next. Walking down the corridor, May begins to cry, but gathers her thoughts, and goes out to the people who were waiting for her singing. Nick was amazed and listened to the rest of her song, then turned off the equipment. When May has already left, Watts says that their client forgot the earrings and gives them to Nick. The shift has been so long that it's already morning outside. With the sunrise, people hide in the shade, as the sun is furiously burning. And even though people have switched to a nocturnal lifestyle, it's still difficult to fall asleep. When the sun has set, life returns to the city. It is obvious that in such conditions people are divided into castes, and the lower levels are increasingly beginning to rebel. Businessman Walter wanted to get the land on the cheap. And to reduce the price, he burned down the houses. Prosecutor Avery didn't like it because people died because of his act. Walter won't say anything. To prove it, he has to go through a memory session, but that's not going to happen. Even the prosecutor can't do anything. The law is not written like Walter. Nick hears Walter asking his son Sebastian if he has found a girl, to which the guy replies no. During the first wars, magnates like Walter bought up land for a song, profiting from the poor, passing them into the clutches of the tide. Migrants survive as best they can. But one day, the ocean will take absolutely everything. In the meantime, the flooded shore replaces their home. Nick arrives at the bar where May is performing. She notices him immediately. When the guests have left, Nick returns the earrings and praises her voice. May says she has been performing here for 4 years, and Nick was the first to notice her voice. One moment doesn't leave Nick's mind. Why was she crying? May calls the nerves before each performance. People don't want to see a girl who can barely make ends meet dressed from a flea market. They need something flawless, they want to be deceived. However, Nick does not see any falsity here. Nick brought May home with a follow-up show, when suddenly he wakes up at his work.
Holy shit, you're here again.
It turns out that he had been replaying his memory for several months. He needs to forget about the past and live in the present. Nick doesn't understand why she disappeared, because they were planning a future together. People don't just disappear, suddenly she has problems. Watts replies that they have problems too. New technologies are developing, and now they have fewer orders, and the dam will soon break. And they will go to the bottom without a lifeline. The idea that people don't just disappear can't disappear from Nick's head anyway. He checks her place of work and gets the same answers. And her friends don't know anything either. After waiting until he falls asleep, Nick personally dives into the system. In this memory, they were resting on dry land. Nick noticed a bruise on May's arm. She says it's a cost of work. Accidentally hit the table. And then Nick admits that he loves her. Tomorrow he was waiting for an amazing find of May's earring near his office in order to earn some money. The couple comes to the prosecutor. She's got Mr. Fox. They say he worked for the biggest drug dealer St. Joe. If Fox has useful information in his head, you can issue an arrest warrant. The basic approach to pulling out thoughts did not lead to anything. His brain is on the verge of death and wants to see the best moments. Nick changes the approach to create memories from the bar. Nick was startled to see May. This memory was preserved 5 years ago. Nick asks to show the moment when he saw this girl for the last time. Then May was already hanging out with Joe and got hooked on the substance. Moreover, she has robbed Joe and knocks Fox out. Nick has an idea where she can be found, which is why he leaves for New Orleans, where Joe operates. He immediately realized that this was a military man, and since Joe was a refugee, he hates the soldiers who were held by the walls. Nick is grabbed and immersed here. If he doesn't want to die, he needs to be told why he came here. Nick admits that he is looking for a woman. Johnny has seen May since she ran away. So Nick would have been killed if the Who had not come to the rescue. A fight begins from which the couple emerges victorious. On the last day, when May came to Watts, she admitted that she had an addiction and didn't say anything to Nick. Watts doesn't blame her, as she also had an addiction. Nick doesn't understand how she could get drunk when May was here, because she took the access keys and went to the vault. The password to the safe is not numbers, but a melody. Most likely, May studied it for so long to find out the right melody. After checking the data, they do not find Elsa's card. Nick arrives at the place where Elsa lived, but she was already dead. The girl says that some guy attacked Elsa, and her son was held by a red-haired girl. Now Nick doesn't really understand who May was. During the search, he is attacked by a corrupt cop Cyrus with an order to forget May. He was in the footage with Joe. Walter died that night. People hoped that his empire would fall, but it was inherited by his wife and son. Nick knows Tamara. She came to the session when they first opened. Thanks to her memory, they understand that Walter used Elsa and wanted to clean up the ends before he died. Because of Nick's obsession with Timmy, he quarrels with Otts. The families of the rich are building additional dams around themselves, which throw water to poorer areas. To get there, Nick goes through roadblocks. Tamara welcomes Nick as her husband. This is due to the fact that burnt-out people adjust their reality to themselves. Nick returns her and finds out that Walter ordered Elsa to be killed, and Cyrus is where all the garbage should be. She orders Nick to be eliminated, but the guards notice the tattoo. They were soldiers too, which is why they let Nick go. Thanks to a hint, Nick finds Cyrus and a random girl. Cyrus doesn't deny that he and May robbed Nick. They did it for survival. In the new world, there is no concept of good or evil. And since Nick can't kill him for the sake of preserving his memory, Cyrus gets up and runs away. Nick quickly catches up with him, and a fight begins in a flooded house. When Cyrus decides that he has won, he relaxes, giving Nick the opportunity to inject the substance. In the past, Cyrus found May after she ran away from Joe. And so that he doesn't turn her in, he needs her help. May started collecting all the known information about Nick. Everything Nick saw was a well-thought-out plan. When Cyrus had the card, he went to deal with Elsa. Be grateful for that. But May saved the guy and took him away by boat. After a while, May came to the book, but he did not open the door, and then May threw the earring. And in order for Cyrus not to find a guy, May had to be eliminated. Cyrus should get what he deserves. Nick brings him back to the day Joe took revenge on him, and increases the power to the maximum so that this day will be his last. After a while, Nick sneaked into Walter's house. In his memories, Walter loved Elsa and tried to find her. But Sebastian didn't want to share the inheritance and hired Cyrus. Cyrus had Sebastian's number on his phone, so he couldn't get away. Sebastian offers to negotiate. When he is given an inheritance, he will pay him. But Nick is not interested. It would be much better if all the money was transferred to his brother Freddie. The police found him and will soon recreate this crime. Then Nick comes to Quota's in order to give her all the memories. News of the crime broke out the city. Anger at the land magnates has been building up for too long. Well, Nick won't know what happens next. He plunges into the car to stay with May forever. This is where the film comes to an end, but we will be glad to have your like. We'll be back very soon. Bye.